This video is going to be a cut down version of our 5,000 subscriber Q&A live stream we did a few weeks back. I know it's taken me a while to get this one out, but that being said, just know that some of this information may be a little bit out of date when it comes to like what cards I have now or who's coming on the creator conversation series next and stuff like that. But I wanted to make sure everybody got to see their questions answered if they did leave a comment on one of my community posts about that 5,000 Q&A live stream. But even if you didn't post a question on those, I've left timestamps down below so you can skip to the parts that are very interesting to you, and you can see the questions down there before you even click on it. So hopefully that's helpful. And if you do want to see the extended cut of this where I do go a little bit more in depth, the full 2-hour and like 15-minute live stream is posted on the live tab of my channel. But for those of y'all that didn't want to sit through that, of course I wanted to cut this down as short as possible for you, even though this still is a pretty long video. As I said in the live stream though, I just can't thank y'all enough for all the support you've shown my channel, and I'm just super excited to continue to pump out content for y'all. Oh, and if you have any more ideas for like a discussion or something we can do on a live stream together, feel free to leave those below as well, because I want to do more of those in the future. And lastly, before we dive into the actual video, just so I can set expectations straight, I did not highly edit this video. It's supposed to be more conversational for y'all, so let me know if you like this style of video as well, because it's always fun to do these. I hope y'all enjoy this one. This one came from Bimmer1, sorry, I'm not sure how you want to say that, but his question was just what drives you when it comes to like the work side of things. I think what drives me mainly is just like freedom and autonomy. I really like to have control over my time, and my goal really for this whole year is just to kind of separate my time from how much money I can possibly make, if that makes sense. I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people are kind of trying to do these days, and it's something that I've taken to heart with this YouTube channel. I started this as a complete hobby, and I just knew that I loved being a part of this community just as a viewer, like as a ghost viewer too. I never commented on any videos or anything like that, but after a while I realized that this is something I'm super passionate about, and I wanted to document my journey for y'all, and that's basically what this whole channel is about, just documentation. But yeah, as for what drives me specifically with my YouTube channel, and this is now my main focus, and I'm going to be, approaching the questions mainly with this in mind, but it's really just detaching my time from how much money I can make. I think the next question here, yep, it does come from Caesar. And of course, if y'all don't know Caesar by now, I mean, he's in like everybody's comment section. It's always great to see him. But he asked me, what are my credit card regrets? I just got started a couple of years ago, like heavily into the credit card game. So I'm still like in that process of building out my credit card foundation. And with that being said, I don't think I necessarily have any massive regrets. Now, of course, I'm not trying to clickbait y'all by putting that title and thumbnail, but to answer my specific case, the only situation in which I would quote unquote regret the card that I got, and this is like, it's not even a regret, it's just like if I could have, zoomed forward 6 months or whatever, maybe I would have done it differently. And that'd probably be my Amex Blue Business Plus card. And that might shock y'all because the Blue Business Plus is just a card that everybody can get value from. It's a no annual fee card that gives you 2x back on every purchase. And that's why it's like, I can't actually regret getting this card. But the reason I say that is because I did apply for this card as a sole proprietor, and that was before I started an LLC for my YouTube channel, which is now my business. So in that way, I kind of regretted adding this one when I did, because I could have waited and added it under my LLC's name. And the reason that is like even slightly important is because Amex does have the 5 credit card limit, where you can only have 5 of their credit card products. And that doesn't apply to their charge cards like the gold and platinum cards, but it does apply to their credit card products that have a credit limit. And there's also stipulation out there, like you can maybe get up to 6 cards or maybe start getting denied at 4. So it's a little bit of a subjective rule from what I can tell. But technically, if I wanted to keep all of my expenses separate and I wanted to do, everything under my LLC, then I should have applied for this card under that LLC, and not that way I don't have to take up a second slot in that 5 credit card limit for another BBP. But I'm not necessarily worried about that by any means. On to the next question here. It comes from Anthony Venture. His first question that he asked me, I think he has 2 back to back actually, but would you rather be 5'5" or 6'6"? Now, I don't know how many of y'all watched my last Q&A, just like the normal video that I posted. Tony made a question in that one that basically portrayed me in the light that I am 6 feet 6 inches tall. Now I'm here to tell y'all, before we like meet up in Vegas and all that stuff, which I am planning on going to Vegas for that creator meetup that Luke's putting on, Luke's Points and Miles. But yeah, in my last Q&A, I answered in a joking way saying that I was actually 6'6", and that's why I could play basketball well. That's not necessarily the case, and I wish that I could let this joke continue to go on, Tony, but I don't want y'all to be disappointed when you meet me. If you would have told y'all I was 5'6", I would have let the joke keep riding, because then you'd be impressed when you saw me. But I don't want y'all to be like super disappointed. I am about 6 foot 6'1", so shorter than 6'6", but if I could choose, I would be 6'6", because I did play basketball growing up. I would have likely tried to play in college if I was 5 inches taller. So I guess to answer this question, I would rather be 6'6", but that's just not the case. But yeah, his next question, this one's a little bit more into the weeds. He asked, how do I organize my time? Am I structured and have set times to get things done, or is it sporadic spontaneity? where you blitz and get a lot of work done in one sitting. You know, a lot of people in our space, a lot of people that have any kind of like entrepreneurial drive or, you know, have a channel of their own have to be somewhat type A. And that's definitely the case for me. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a perfectionist in OCD, but I'm borderline there. Like I need things done in a very organized way. So that's kind of, I mean, my quick answer would be that I don't do it just like spontaneously. Like I'm very set with a schedule. I guess to answer just like a rough outline of how I actually organize my time, I do use like Google Calendar for like my main, if I have like meetings or anything for the channel, but for like my day-to-day tasks, I use an app called Todoist, and it's on desktop as well. That like automatically pops up every time I get on my computer, and I kind of just work through that on my day-to-day stuff. So that's kind of how I organize my time digitally. But yeah, the next question here, let's see what this one is. Clean Sharma, and they ask, what are some of your recommendations in regards to tackling credit card debt? I'm currently using the Snowball method. And then he said, congrats on 5K. Once again, I appreciate all of y'all so much for being here today, as well as just supporting the channel, subscribing to the channel, and helping make my dream a reality. But to answer this question, I think there's many good ways to tackle credit card debt. And to be completely honest with you, my blanket answer would be do it in whatever way helps you actually pay your debt off. Like you said, there are two different methods that most people talk about when they're talking about paying off debts, and that's the Snowball and the Avalanche method. And basically, the Snowball method, to my understanding, is going to be where you're paying off the smallest debts first. So if you had like, let's just go straight credit cards. If you had 5 credit cards, one had $1,000 of debt, one had $2,000, it goes up from there. You'd start with the lowest amount of debt first, and no matter what the APR was on those cards, you would just start tackling that lowest one first, so you can kind of start checking off the boxes as you go. I think that's really great, especially whenever you're talking about debts that have like very similar APRs. But whenever we're talking about like bigger debts, I don't know if that's necessarily the way I would go about it. The Avalanche method is that you're paying off like the highest interest first, I believe, is the difference between the two. But in that case, I would recommend always paying off the highest interest debt first. For example, I wouldn't recommend paying, necessarily your mortgage off first if you have a really low interest rate on that, but you also have $10,000 worth of credit card debt. I think you should get rid of that credit card debt first, because you're going to be getting charged 20% APR compared to 4 or whatever it is. But as for like specifically credit cards, I think the Snowball method works, or credit card debt, I should say, which you obviously, if you pay off your cards on time in full every month, like we preach, you won't be in that situation. But if you are, I think the Snowball method works great, because they're all going to have pretty similar APRs, and you can just pay off that lowest debt first, and it kind of gives you your lowest total amount of debt on a card first, because that way you can kind of check off the boxes as you go, and it gives you motivation to keep paying it down rather than paying towards one massive sum that you don't really see chipping away. I think the Snowball method could work great in that situation. Let's go on to the next one. This one's from AJ, and he asked what card I was most surprised by getting approved for, and then have I ever gotten an application denied, and if so, what card was I denied for? The card that I was honestly most surprised I got approved for, I think that'd have to be like the Venture X, honestly, because not the fact that I didn't think I could get approved, because I feel like I did have like a strong credit profile, obviously, but the Venture X just has so many like horror stories around it that it was still so scary to apply for that card. And luckily I got approved, and luckily people have really tuned into that video and like really enjoyed it. But yeah, that was the one I was probably most surprised I got approved for, just because of all the horror stories about it. I think a close second for me would probably be the Amex Blue Business Plus. And the reason for that was because that was my first business credit card. I hadn't been in the business credit card game before, so I was a little bit nervous about that one. Luckily, it obviously went well, and that's another video that y'all seem to take a liking to, so maybe y'all found me off of that video. But to answer your other parts of your question, I've never actually been denied for a credit card yet, which is something it's a blessing. I haven't had to deal with that yet, but I'm sure, I'm excited for that first denial, because it's going to happen, and I kind of want to need to get it done. So, it can't keep sneaking up on me. All right, the next question comes from Jake, and he asks, who's next on the Talking with Other Creators series? So the series he's talking about is the Creator Conversation series that I started on my channel, which I think y'all really enjoy. I hope you do. I think it's been my favorite thing I've done with the channel so far. I love getting to talk with other creators, because it's the same thing as like the credit card game in general. We're all so like-minded, you know what I mean? Everybody here loves credit cards. We love talking about these things. But not only that, whenever I connect with other creators, there are people that don't only just love credit cards, but they also love creating content. And that's, it's just another connection that we have together. So getting to talk with people about these things that I love is it's awesome. To answer his question though, I don't know if I can share who's the next person, but I do want to have as many people on as I can within the credit card niche of YouTube, but also just broader personal finance and stuff like that. So we're going to keep reaching out to people, and I don't necessarily my goal is not to add a ton of subscribers to my channel, just for the sake of it. The real reason now that I even genuinely care about the number, I love everybody that's joining, and I care about every single one of y'all that joined the channel. But the reason I care about that, just overarching number, is because it gives me at least some pull with people that we can get on the show, and y'all can, talk to through me, through your questions and everything like that. So that's kind of why I do care about that number at this point. But let's go ahead and move on to the next question here. And this one comes from Mojo, who is in the chat today? So this is a good question I'm going to be answering for somebody that is live here today. And his question was, if you could only roll with 3 no annual fee cards for 1 whole year, what 3 cards would those be and why? No annual fee cards are interesting. For the most part, no annual fee cards are going to be mainly cashback focused cards, because without that, you can't really transfer out to partners or anything like that. So in thinking about this question, my main thought with it was, okay, how do I incorporate some cashback cards with lenders that I do like, while also maybe throwing in a little bit of travel if I wanted to? And what I gathered here is that I think the 3 cards I would choose would be, first of all, this may come as a surprise, but I think I would go with the Amex Blue Business Plus. And I think I obviously would want to use that as my catch-all card for personal and business expenses. And that's a conversation I think we actually will have later. That was one of the questions. But I would use the Amex Blue Business Plus as a catch-all card. And the reason I would say that one is because I could also transfer those points out to travel partners and still get some positive value, some really high value with my Amex points. Because my understanding, Amex points, they're all just going to pool into one account, Amex membership rewards points. And you can transfer those out to partners with that. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong about that. I'm pretty sure you can with just the Blue Business Plus. I've looked it up a few times, but maybe it's changed. And then I think I would add in the Chase Freedom Flex, because it's a rotating 5X card that's really easy to get value out of at least a couple of the quarters. So the Freedom Flex is an easy one to add in there. I love Chase's ecosystem. Y'all know that. There's not much else to say about that card. It's solid. And then I think my third card would have to be the City Custom Cash, because I could use the Chase Freedom Flex for dining. I could use it for, obviously travel through the Chase portal, stuff like that. And then I use the Blue Business Plus for my catch-all card. The City Custom Cash could be a rotating card that I either use for gas or groceries maybe. Yeah, so those would be the 3 I would pick. The Blue Business Plus, Chase Freedom Flex, and the City Custom Cash, I think would be my 3 no annual fee cards that I'd at least rock for a year, see how much value I got out of them. And then DJ October, your question's up next. I know you're in the chat. And what you asked was, if I could only have 3 personal credit cards and they have to be from 3 separate banks, what would that trifecta look like? I think you have to go, for me, with the Amex Gold card. And the reason I say that is because I spend so much money on food. I do prefer to transfer my points out to travel partners, at least right now. And the Amex Gold card, that's what you have to really do with the points to get a ton of value from them. You can't use them in the portal and maybe get like 1 cent per point, or add the Charles Schwab Platinum down the line and get 1.1 cents per point when you redeem through your brokerage account with Charles Schwab. But for this trifecta we're talking about, the Amex Gold card still earns a slot because of how much money I spend on food and because I do like Amex's ecosystem a lot. The second card here would be the Capital One Venture X. The Venture X, because it serves as a catch-all card, and it's also a luxury travel credit card. So that is just a no-brainer for me as well, especially because the annual fee is so easily justifiable for somebody that has travel habits like I do. I think that you honestly can get positive value from that card by just booking 1 trip a year. And I've said that in multiple videos, but if you book a trip through their travel portal that's $300 or more, you're going to get that $300 back from their annual travel credit. And then even if you don't use the global entry or TSA pre-check credit, if you just get those anniversary bonus miles, you're already positive $5 if you just value those anniversary miles at 1 cent per point. But if you transfer out to travel partners, you might get 1.5 to 2 cents per point. Now you're actually like pretty easily in the positive, more than $5 a year just by holding it and booking 1 trip. So I think it's a no-brainer card. Also is a Visa credit card and serves as a catch-all card with that 2x back on every purchase. So the third card would be the City Custom Cash for me. And I know that's weird, because if I'm only having 3 credit cards, the City Custom Cash is one that I won't be able to transfer out to travel partners. But similar to my previous answer to the last question, I think it's good to mix a little bit of cash back in there. And the City Custom Cash is just one that's so easy to slot into any setup. You can't get mad at me for putting that in a trifecta, because it's just, you're getting 5x on your highest spend category every month, up to $500 worth of spend. So for me, it's been my gas card. It probably always will be my gas card, especially once I add the City Premier card down the line and transfer those points out to travel partners. So the 3 different lenders would be Amex, City, and Capital One in this case. I actually did not include a Chase card in here, which is really surprising, but I think that those 3 cards in combination work really well together and would cover all my high spending categories of just miscellaneous spend with the Venture X, food with the Amex Gold, and gas with the Custom Cash. So that's what I would go with. I wish the Chase cards had some gas categories in there, or a grocery category, and maybe I would have put a Chase card in there, but not for this answer. Marcus asked the next question. He asked, do I ever get a credit card just for the bonus? Is that a bad thing financially or ethically? And then assume overall good credit and existing long credit history. First of all, let me just start off by saying, answering the first part of your question, do I ever get a credit card just for the bonus? The answer to that right now is no, technically, because I'm still building it and building out my core credit card setup, right? So I don't necessarily need to be applying for cards just for bonuses. And I also just don't think that, even if you are, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that's kind of the game of credit cards, is like you're adding cards until you get to your credit, like your core credit card setup that you don't think you'll ever have to cancel. And then you're just adding cards for bonuses, which is like the place that I aspire to be to. I think that's what you should be doing in the credit card game. I don't think it's ethically wrong, because that's what the banks are trying to do, is get people into their ecosystems. And we're just taking advantage of what they're giving us. That was a great one. I think that's an important one to cover. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Marcus. But Matt asks, how much money are you making from YouTube in monthly revenue right now? And what is your goal for monthly revenue 1 year from now? The goals part is a little bit harder to answer. I mean, how much money I'm making right now, I'll tell y'all. I can't tell you exactly how much I'm making from YouTube in total. Like, well, I guess I can from YouTube specifically, but from like sponsorships and credit card affiliates, I can't necessarily talk about that as much. But I want to be open and transparent with y'all. That's what I do here, what I want to do here, at least. Once again, going back to why I'm even doing this in the first place, is to document my journey. And I'm documenting my journey with YouTube as well. And then he also has a second question here about the number one aspirational credit card redemption that I want to take. I'll answer that one after this YouTube one first, but let me just go ahead and dive into that. So as of right now, I'm finally getting to a point, I think, because I'm uploading more videos. Like, I'm uploading every Wednesday and Sunday now. For those of y'all that have noticed and been here for all my videos, I, obviously really appreciate y'all. But from YouTube now, I'm getting close to that, like AdSense paying me about $1,000 a month, which is awesome. Like, it's amazing. It's a great side hustle, if anything. And that's just from YouTube ad revenue. But yeah, it's definitely a comfortable amount of money that I'm making from YouTube. And I'm blessed to be able to say that. I honestly did not expect to make any money from YouTube until a year after I started. Was my goal was to make my first penny a year after I got started and hit 1,000 subscribers. And it's pretty crazy to see that we actually hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, like within a few months, theoretically, but we hit 5,000 subscribers within that first year, which is like, that's insane. I didn't even set that as a goal at all. So that's why I'm like, all of this, I'm trying to really just soak in, because this is a journey that I've been wanting to take forever. I've always been a YouTube fanatic in a way. Never watched TV. I've always watched YouTube. So this is like a dream come true to be able to even do this at all. So yeah, that's like my YouTube monetization, at least from AdSense. I do make money from affiliates and sponsors as well. I think you see a lot of YouTubers pushing links and stuff like that all the time. And I think you have to realize to a degree that we kind of have to do that to profit in a way. Like, there are people that are, trying to make a living off of this. And that's why someone like myself is pushing my links. I know it can get annoying, and I hope that it doesn't from my channel or from other channels that you watch. But I know that some people get annoyed by it. And that's kind of the reason for it, is because they do actually pay pretty well, especially compared to AdSense. So just keep that in mind and have some grace for the creators that are trying to push those things. But yeah, that's how much I'm making now. I guess my future goal now is just to make basically as much money as I do from like a full-time engineering job. And that's like my next goal, which, whether that's like 5,000 a month, 6,000 a month, or whatever it is, like that would be my next goal. But I honestly just haven't thought about it. My main goal so far has been to be able to do YouTube full time. And that's what my money goal has been, to cover my expenses. So that's kind of like what I'm aiming for right now. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but I have some exciting news on that front. So, oh yeah, Matt had a second question here. What is my number one aspirational trip? So for some reason, I always like land on Australia as my number one aspirational trip. I don't even know why, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. So that's my quick answer, would be Australia. I do really think it'd be cool to go to like Rome and Greece. I've also always wanted to go to London. I hear it's really rainy and stuff there, but I don't know. I love the idea of it. So I guess my main would be Australia. I think Japan would be cool one day. Rome and Greece are becoming like higher on my list too, just because I haven't been and I'm young. And honestly, Luke from Luke's Points and Miles here told me to go to Greece, if I recall correctly. And that is on my list for sure. So that would probably be my number one aspirational trip. It's just one of those places. Very broad answer there for you. But yeah, let's see. The next question here comes from one of the most infamous commenters on all of the credit card YouTube space, Jason Kazama. And he asks, how do I really feel about his exit from the credit card game? Have y'all seen Jason's comments on everybody's videos? For those of y'all that didn't know, Jason is out of the credit card game. And to be honest with you, my opinions on it is that for somebody who is out of the credit card game, you honestly might be the most in the game person I've ever met, because you are commenting on all of our videos, and I love it. I love the support. Even if it's to tell us that you're out of the game, it's still support in some way. So I really appreciate you being here. And I don't think that you should be out of the credit card game per se. Wouldn't throw in the towel just yet. But at the end of the day, did the game switch up or did you? That's the real question. So that'd be my answer to you, Jason. But I do appreciate you being here on all of our videos. I think it's awesome. Next question here comes from Jimmy James. And he asks, once again, what's your dream destination and what credit card setup would you use to get there? Jimmy's a massive supporter of the channel. He's been here for a long time. I really appreciate him being here. And I think it's a great question. I kind of just answered this with Matt's, but instead of answering my destination, I'll tell you what credit card setup I'd use to get there. And I think that the main credit cards that I would use, I'm accumulating a ton of Amex and Chase points, are my top two lenders. I love Amex and Chase cards. and their points. Their point systems are the most valuable, in my opinion. So those would be the points that I used to get there. As for like what I would carry once I was there, well, I guess first of all, the cards that I use with Amex and Chase to get those points would be the Amex Gold card, gives me a ton of points. I'd spend so much money on food. With Chase, it was my Chase Freedom Unlimited, and I use the Chase Sapphire Preferred to transfer out the travel partners. I have the OG Chase Freedom that I use for the rotating categories, like on Amazon right now. Transfer those points to the Chase Sapphire Preferred and out to travel partners. So to get there, it'd probably be a combination of Chase and Amex points because those are what I have the most of right now. But I also have a decent amount of Capital One miles as well now. So maybe I'd throw those in there too. And I got to touch on this now too. I think that there's a really big importance on diversifying your points. But not only that, I think it's also nice in situations like this where you want to make an aspirational trip that those lenders have overlapping transfer partners. And I know that's kind of crazy to say maybe, but I think it's really important because say I needed to top off my trip with 50,000 points for like Virgin Atlantic or something. Instead of me having to either spend that money or go get another card for a welcome bonus, I could just transfer those miles, say from Capital One, who I have 50,000 miles with. I can transfer those into Virgin Atlantic, or that might be a bad example, depending on what their travel partners are. But I can transfer those from another lender and to top off my trip and get there. And that's because I have overlapping transfer partners, which I don't think is a bad thing. That's my opinion on it. Once I'm there, though, I think the Capital One Venture X would be like the workhorse because it's a Visa card. It's going to give me 2x back on everything. The Amex Gold card won't give me 4x back on dining or on groceries overseas, but it would give me 4x on dining. So I would try to use that wherever I'm at, but could easily get denied, or not denied, but not accepted. But yeah, that would be my idea. Also have the Chase Sapphire Preferred as a back pocket card for anything while I'm there. We just answered Jimmy's question. Let's move on to Billy's question now. And he asks, what are the best ways to use Chase rewards points for domestic traveling? For example, Florida, Vegas, California. I mean, my answer for this one's pretty simple and it might surprise you, but I would say that for somebody that is traveling like a ton domestically, when it comes to booking flights, I think the Chase Sapphire Reserve is honestly going to be your best bet in booking flights through their travel portal because you're going to get that 50% boost on all your Chase points in the travel portal. Yes, you have to stomach the $550 annual fee and you only get enough to cover $300 of that back from credits. But if you're booking enough trips with it domestically, you're going to get way more value than that extra like $250 of the effective annual fee. So that would be my recommendation for anybody that's like just wants to travel domestically. Like the Chase Sapphire Reserve is solid because you're not, for example, like I book a lot of Southwest flights because I travel domestically a lot with Southwest because I'm out of Austin and that's like one of our bigger airlines here. And whenever I do that, I'm getting like 1.3 to 1.5 cents per point, but then I have to go through their calendar and all of that stuff. So if I could just book through the travel portal, no blackout dates, don't have to worry about it, get 1.5 cents per point, like that's super solid. So that'd be my recommendation for domestic travel with Chase points. Obviously, if you had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you get a 25% boost. You could use that point or those points in that way as well. Or you could just book through the travel portal or cash out and, buy the flight in cash. But yeah, my recommendation would be like, if you really want to get the most value out of your Chase points domestically and in economy, I should say, the Chase Sapphire Reserve is honestly a really solid card and doesn't get talked about that much. But that would be my answer there. So let's see if that upset anybody. Next question comes from Stan the Man, Stan the Credit Frog. He asked me, what skills or set of skills am I trying to improve in? It's probably a bunch, but what would I consider to be my top priority? Now, you were right by saying that there are a bunch, like a lot of things that I'm trying to improve. I'm still young and, wanting to work towards a better future in general, financially, relationship wise. And for this question, I'm going to assume that it was more directed at like business, like what I'm trying to improve, maybe when it comes to the channel or just business in general. And I think like live conversation is a big thing, whether that be through live streams like this. This is the first one, obviously, but I think it's important, whether it's that way or through the creator conversations episodes. I think that's a big way that I can connect with people and like get to know people that have, like I said earlier, just like-minded folks that love credit cards, love business, love the business of YouTube. That's like what I'm really trying to develop is being able to talk to them in just like a normal way and make everybody else enjoy it that watches. Other than that, though, I think what ties directly into that would be like networking. I think that's a skill that being somebody that I would self-proclaim myself as like an introvert for the most part. I can be extroverted when I wanted to or when I want to or in front of a camera. Like I can do that kind of stuff, no problem. But I definitely like recharge by being alone and like not talking to a bunch of people. So networking is one thing that like I want to improve on this year. Maybe go to some conferences, maybe just meet up with y'all, like the Vegas meetup. I think will be a great time. There's a lot of stuff that I can do through that route. And I think that's a really important skill to be able to have, is just being able to network and talk with people. And I think my top priority would be like just marketing in general, which is a really weird skill to be like talking about as a YouTube channel. But in my opinion, I think that whenever you're a YouTuber, you're in the business of just marketing yourself. That's what YouTube is. in a weird way. So that's kind of my goal right now, is to be able to better market not only myself in the channel, but also be able to market whatever products I might come out with, like digital products or like memberships, or maybe I start some kind of other community off of YouTube or an email list. Like whatever I end up wanting to do, I need to be able to market myself and market a brand. And I think that's just important with any business that I might end up starting in the future. Luke's Points of Miles asking if Austin is the San Francisco of Texas, but also telling me to not answer that. So not going to answer that. I will say though, one thing about just Austin in general, like the Austin area, I did grow up like in the country, kind of outside of Austin. And I'm really glad that I had that, because I love a little bit of country living and not being like necessarily downtown or anything like that. Like I didn't actually grow up in Austin, kind of grew up in like the wine country and the hill country. So I love that. But second question Luke asks is if I could take Ben Hedges in a bare-knuckle boxing match. And that's a great question. Ben did mention in one of the comments that he might be in here today. And unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be here for this part of the live stream. But I honestly, I'm a little bit worried about that, because Ben, like you said, he might be a little bit wiry. He might sneak a few punches in on me, and I might not know what to do with it. I feel like he'd be a little bit sneaky good. So I guess my quick answer would be, I think that I could take him, maybe just from, I'm a little bit athletic. I've worked out for a long time, so hopefully that would get me somewhere. But yeah, no, I do actually genuinely want to like get into some kind. I've said this for like 3 years, but I want to be able to get into some kind of like, not necessarily boxing as like a sport, but boxing as a workout, or just like, just hitting bags and stuff like that, or maybe some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, something like that, because I just don't know how to use my body in that way. Like I've played sports forever, but I don't know how to use my body in any self-defense way even, or anything like that. So I need to get some training from Luke, the Navy man himself, see if he can teach me something. But I think that was a great question. So I appreciate you asking about that. Next question comes from Forrest. All right, let me see if I can break this down a little bit shorter here. I really appreciate the thoughtful comment. So it looks like he's basically asking, what cards have I applied for and just said, yep, that was not the smartest move. So what credit cards do I regret? And then, do I think I'll be using any solely cashback cards that don't have the ability to transfer out to partners? And then lastly, what store specific credit cards would I think are worthy looking at? And then a bonus question, in what situations is it okay to put personal expenses on business cards? So we're gonna break those down each one by one. Let's see. What cards I regret? Answered this earlier with Caesar's question. I don't regret any of the cards that I've added. I really enjoy all the ones that I've used, and I think I've added them in like the correct order. Got the Chase Trifecta first, and I believe I got the I always get these mixed up. It was either the Amex Gold or the Custom Cash after that, and then the other one was my fifth card, and I think those were like a solid starting 5. Yeah, now moving into more luxury cards or business cards. So I think that's the I don't regret any of my cards that I've added so far. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next part of that question. Now that I have the Venture X, will I be using any solely cashback cards? I've mentioned this a couple times. I'm not somebody that's on Team Cashback, nor am I like interested in being on Team Cashback right now, because I just know what kind of value you can get from the travel game. And I've learned that a lot from like people in the chat, like Luke's Points of Miles. It's insane what kind of value you can get with the right bookings. So for me, no interest in focusing solely on cashback cards. And I'm surprised nobody's mentioned this yet, maybe because of the slight delay, but I have a sole cashback card in my setup right now that I talk about like all the time, and that's the City Custom Cash. And you would be correct in saying that right now that is a sole cashback credit card, because I don't have anything that allows me to transfer those points out. But it is in my in-game like strategy to eventually get the City Premier card. I'll wait until the Strata cards come out, see if either of those are worth applying for. And then eventually I do want to transfer those points out to travel partners. I haven't cashed out any of my city points, and I don't have that many because I only spend it on gas every month. So really just a welcome bonus and, maybe a few thousand extra points. But yeah, so I have no interest in focusing solely on cashback yet. I think Stan, the Credit Frog, has the setup that I would like to have in the future for cashback. And that would honestly be with Bank of America. I know it's such a weird one to like maybe just throw out there randomly since I've never talked about them, but their setup whenever you're in their preferred rewards program is like the preferred honors tier and all that stuff. Once you're in those tiers and you're getting a 75% boost on all of your points in cashback form, I would love to have that, like at least a couple of their cards, and then maybe throw in like the custom cash. So the next one that Forrest asked was what store specific credit cards are worth it. I think this one's easy. It does definitely depend on every single person. So I would say that the Amazon Prime cards are going to be the easiest ones for me to recommend, because people get a ton of value out of those cards. You're just getting 5% back on Amazon, and like if you have Amazon Prime already, it's worth it. I think the Costco credit card is great for those that shop at Costco or want to get gas with Costco. People love that card for that purpose. The Target card, I think, is another solid one for those that shop a lot at Target. Just gives you 5x back, to my knowledge. And then the Verizon card is another one that's not necessarily a store card, but a phone bill card, and it actually is like a solid card. And I've seen like Proud Money's always talked about that one. I think Joshua Butler's made some videos on that as well, who's another great creator. And then the last question that Forrest asked was when it's okay to put personal spend on business cards. I did kind of already answer this one, to be honest. I don't see any problem with it. Banks are making money from you swiping their cards and using them. So the more money you put on their credit cards, the better for them. They're not going to be looking at every one of your transactions unless you're like doing something insane. But I mean, think about it the other way around. All the time we're putting business expenses on our personal cards. And while their terms might say that you're not supposed to put personal purchases on business cards. The only reason it would ever be illegal is if you wrote off those personal expenses on your tax return. But that's that's like a tax fraud issue. That's not a credit card fraud issue. So my take on it, I've read countless data points on Reddit. I've never heard of anybody getting shut down because of them putting personal purchases on business cards. It doesn't strike me at all as an issue. I was nervous about it at first, but I read enough about it to where I'm like, they make money from us either way, so I'm not worried about putting personal expenses on it. Next question here is going to come from Chino, and he asks, basically he's saying that he's an aspiring content creator looking to grow his channel. If I could give my best YouTube advice for growing on YouTube, what do I think it would be? I have a lot of advice. I think my biggest one would just be to get started. I think that's the biggest thing that stops people. I know that's not for necessarily new creators, but people that are thinking about getting started on YouTube, the biggest advice is just make a video. Just put one out there. My first video, I've unlisted it at this point. I have my second ever video still on my channel, and you can see the quality difference between then and now, and the confidence difference too. So I'd go check that out if you're interested. I'm embarrassed by it, but I don't care if y'all see it. I put it as like more of an inspiration to see where you can eventually come from. But yeah, getting started is the hardest thing. I literally, my first video, like I was saying, that I unlisted, I pulled out my phone, I put it in front of me, and I recorded for a minute, and I just said like, hi, my name's Spencer. I want to start a YouTube channel. This is why. And I posted it. Nobody saw it. Surprise, surprise. Nobody's going to see your very first videos. I think another big word of advice is that like your first 20 videos are probably going to suck. And that's like in a loving way. I'm saying that. Mine did. And they're still on my channel. But to be fair, while the quality of them sucked, the content of them didn't. So I think it's always important to focus on the content, because those videos are going to be seen by people, especially once you posted 20, like you have a good backlog there. So you want every video to be as good as possible, but just realize that, me looking back a year ago, those first 20 videos I made compared to my last 20, I'm way more confident in my last 20 than those first 20. So my more advice on that is just like try to get 1% better with each video. That's been my biggest mantra, and it's cliche, but after I read the Atomic Habits book by James Clear, that was like the one thing that really stuck with me. And also, actually, funny enough, my basketball coach in high school always used to say that before that book came out. So I just like always inherently had that as something I do, which is why like I want to try this live stream. And while it might not be perfect, I hope it's good and that y'all enjoy it, and then I will get 1% better next live stream. But yeah, that'd be my quick advice for just getting started. I think another thing is like, do not focus on monetization. It's always going to be in the back of everybody's heads that you want to make money from YouTube. I think that's just par for the course now, especially in finance YouTube. But don't get so focused on money that that's all you care about, because you're going to get burnt out. I think I mentioned this at the beginning. Like I did really want to start the channel for like as a hobby. I wanted to document my journey for y'all in the credit card game. And if that's what like your main purpose is, and you like I had the 1,000 subscribers in the back of my head, but like I said, it was a year down the line. With that goal in mind, I just made the videos that I thought were valuable, and I didn't care about the success of them. And you'll have some that pop off, you'll have some that do good, and that's, double down on those and just keep getting better. Focus really heavily on your titles and thumbnails, because if you can't get people to click into your videos, then it doesn't matter what you put in them. And then once you get there, focus on your hook, focus on getting people to watch through the end, and then focus on getting people to watch other videos of yours. That'd be my very quick, but hopefully in-depth advice. We're going to keep moving on here. Next question is from Jackson Moore, and they asked, how long did you have your first credit card before getting your second? First of all, I will say that my recommendation for people is that you wait 6 to 12 months after getting your first credit card to then getting your second one, because you want to be able to build up that credit history basically as much as you can, like while you only have one. You also just want to get practice with credit cards in general, learning how to use them correctly. But usually, if you can do that, that's great. Also, I think getting added as an authorized user really early would help you a lot, because then you don't really have to wait that long at all after getting your first credit card, and you could just keep moving because you already have theoretically like a 700 something credit score. I did not do that, so I waited that extra length. But for me, I waited 8 to 9 months after getting my Chase Freedom Student to get the Chase Freedom Unlimited. Then I waited 5 months after that, applied for the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And then basically after that, I applied for a card every 3 months or so, basically after I hit the welcome bonus. That's been my strategy since then, really. And then also always keeping in mind your Chase 524 status, all those rules that you need to keep in mind. But yeah, I would say 6 to 12 months after your first card is like the soft rule that everybody throws out there, but you can increase that as time goes on. Next question here is going to come from Winners Mindsets, but they are asking more on the YouTube side of things. What was my first YouTube paycheck and how much was it? And they wanted to guess between 150 and 200. The way that YouTube works is that they pay you out after you hit $100 in AdSense. So if say I got, I made $50 in my first month of being monetized, I wouldn't get paid that until the next paycheck after I hit $100 in cumulative amount of money. So I got monetized in late August. So I did not hit the threshold that month. I started my channel in March, got monetized late August, and then did not hit the $100 threshold. So I didn't get paid out. But in September, I got my first paycheck, and that was $184.46. And that was basically for a month and a week, like 5 weeks of monetization, which was awesome. Like, that's insane for me to be making money from YouTube. It was, a blessing for sure. The next question comes from Jill, and they ask, what is the best first credit card for a young adult without established credit? The Discover It cashback is like the easiest first card to recommend because Discover is so lenient on letting people get approved for a credit card without any credit history. And my recommendation would be try to get that one. You can see if you're pre-approved for it on their website first. If you're not, maybe go for the secured version. My main recommendation, which I did not implement and I should talk about more, is that I would recommend you get started as an authorized user with one of your parents' credit cards. But I didn't do that. Luckily, Tessa just made it into the chat. When we applied for her card, that was the reason that she was able to jump into the Chase Freedom Unlimited right away, which I do recommend Chase cards early on too, because you want to avoid the Chase 524 rule. But if you're not an authorized user and don't have like an established credit history, Discover is like a really great place to start, in my opinion. Or if you're a student, go for a student credit card with the lender you like. I got the Chase Freedom Student, great card. But yeah, young adult, Discover It cashback would be my first recommendation. So the next question comes from Kay, and this is a fun fact for all of y'all. Kay was the very first person to ever comment on my channel. And what she asks is if I can share what my career is like after graduation, any career goals I may have, and what I want to do YouTube full time if you're not already. So this was that question I was talking about earlier, where I want to get into some of the exciting stuff that's been going on in my life and something I think that everybody that's still sticking around would love to hear about. But I'll start off with the first question being, what is my career like after graduation and what are my goals? So after I graduated, I did work within the civil engineering field. I got a job right out of school. I actually interned with them for like a year before I graduated. So I ended up working for that company. And it was, the difference from college is just that you have I'll put it this way, you have a much easier time delineating work and life in a way. Like you have dedicated hours that you're in the office or working. So in that way, it's nice to be able to separate yourself between the two. But you also have a lot less free time in a weird way. Like you just don't have freedom of your time, which is something that I have a harder time with because I really like I have aspirational goals for myself. So being like tied to a desk basically for like 9 hours a day is like kind of tough for me. So my goals, honestly, with my career originally were to just, continue moving up within the company I was in. But after a while, I realized that YouTube was really working for me. And I felt like I had struck something that I didn't think I would. And that's kind of what led me to making the decision that I wanted to then set my goal to be, I want to quit my job so I could work on YouTube full time. And since I kind of made that goal months ago, in advance after I graduated, basically once I graduated, because I started my channel while I was in college. But once I set that goal, I started saving a bunch of money and saved up to the point where I have about a year's worth of expenses. Since I have no responsibilities, that's not a ton of money. So what I ended up doing was about a month ago, wow, that's crazy. A month ago was my last day at my engineering company. So I'm now working on YouTube full time. And that's really exciting. Also somewhat scary because now I don't have a consistent income. But like y'all are kind of saying in here, I think that this is a time for me to be able to take a chance on myself. And it's not even much of a risk at this point because I've saved up the money and I don't have any responsibilities. I don't have kids. I don't have a house. I do have a girlfriend and a dog, but those are my main responsibilities right now. And I wanted to really take a chance on myself because I feel like I do have more potential than just being working in my degree field. So that's a decision I made. And it'll take a little bit to get to the point where the income is, past that, what I was making at an engineering job. But I also have faith that something that gives me as much purpose as this and what helps me connect with people that I really want to be connected with, I don't see how it is going to be a bad decision at the end of the day. So that's why I wanted to do a live stream with y'all today and just talk to y'all about how thankful I really am for y'all being here. Without y'all support, without y'all using my links, without y'all, liking these videos and sharing them with people, I wouldn't be able to do this. So yeah, while I'm not a massive creator making millions of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, this is what I love to do. And if I can just support myself with the money and eventually, save up enough money to support a family, that's what I care about. So I can't thank you all enough for being here. John, I'm sorry. Thank you for the congratulations, but I'm sorry to make you wait till this time to answer your question, but here you are. Yeah, John says congrats once again, which thank you so much. He's been a massive supporter of the channel, so I appreciate you. And what you asked is, do you have any hobbies and or side hustles that you're working on in addition to your YouTube channel? So I guess I kind of just answered this in a way. I definitely have other hobbies, but as for side hustles, I don't have any. YouTube was my side hustle. It took up all of my extra time outside of work, but now it's my actual hustle, I guess you would say. And that's, it's just such a blessing. I still can't believe it, but I have no other focus on anything else. The only other side hustle I kind of do is bank account churning, which I just had a video with RJ about, if you want to watch that one after this. But yeah, that was that's my other side hustle, I guess. It's just moving money around. But as for other hobbies, I have a bunch, I guess. I'm kind of a loser, I guess, but I don't know. Forever I've always played basketball.
I haven't played in a long time, to be honest, but I do like still go to the gym a lot. I work out. I hang out a lot with my dog and my girlfriend. Those would be like my main two hobbies, is just hanging out with them. But yeah, now that I'm working full time on YouTube, I have the luxury of getting to actually go to the gym again, which was something I didn't get to do for like a year because of how much time I was putting into YouTube and work or YouTube and school. So that's like my biggest hobby, is probably just like working out and spending time with my girlfriend and my dog. I love being outdoors. So like hiking and stuff, like whenever me and Tessa go on trips, we would like go on a bunch of hikes together. But yeah, just like being outdoors. My friend growing up, we have one of my best friends has a sand volleyball court at his house, like a professional one. And I learned to play at his place, and I love sand volleyball. So fun. That's like another one of my hobbies, swimming and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm kind of out in the country, so we have a lot of just outdoor things that we would do out there. So those would be my other hobbies. And I don't have any side hustles, like I said, really, besides like bank account bonus hunting. And yeah, my YouTube is my main focus. I want to make this a real career. So that's kind of what's going on right now with that.
Thank you so much for watching to the end of this one. If you did enjoy it, then I think you'd like this video as well, where I did another Q&A a while back, but a lot of my answers are still very relevant today. But if not, I've got plenty of other videos on my channel that might interest you. As always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this one. If you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.